Oh, cool. I better say it's okay.
And it is.
All right. So at this point, do we have anything other than our kind of normal folk?
We could do
I
introductions.
never said I
right?
was normal.
I think we should do
Speak for
introductions.
yourself, Phil.
All right.
Phil and Carol, what happened? I assume the library space
I
got.
screwed it up.
Oh no.
Yep. Blame me.
I'm not looking to blame. I'm curious what.
I'm convinced I had made a reservation and I didn't get an email from them to confirm it. Typically the day of or the day before I get a confirmation. So I called over and chatted with them. Somebody else has our spot.
Wow.
And that's the end of it.
Well, it's good that you checked.
Yeah, I would think so. That'd have been rather embarrassing.
Yeah.
Actually,
And
we
you
could have held two
verified
meetings at the same
For
time.
November?
I'm sorry.
You verified for November, though?
I sent a note to them this afternoon just to make sure. I haven't
Okay.
had a response yet. It takes them 3 or 4 days to get back to you. They're not the quickest responding group on the planet. So that's the answer to that, James.
All right. Well, it's too hot to go out anyway, so.
It's kind of warm.
Yeah.
Well, since we're doing self-introductions, why don't you introduce yourself, James?
I'm James, AE6JG. I live in Gold River. I'm on the board, although my term is coming. What am I, a director or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that is expiring at the end of the year. So I've been trying to recruit a replacement. I nominated someone
Good.
for that position.
That's the right thing to do. You know, what this is all about is every organization needs to have what I like to call a bench. You've got some people that you bring into the operations of the organization, typically a board level position, and let them get a feel for what goes on. So when positions come available, they're in a position to transition into that new role. So bringing in new board members is exactly the right thing to do. It's as if we were running a professional football team. Don't you think?
Exactly.
We're a big corporation.
Now, if I'm going to do that, I want to be the kicker and you could be the running back.
Hello, guys.
You're talking about kicking Gert, Phil? Wait.
Oh my gosh, no. Hello, Neil.
Sorry to
Anyway, James has been introduced. Carol, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm Carol, KP4MD. I'm currently Vice President, also Webmaster for the River City ARCS, and I'm also the ARL Sacramento Valley Section Manager. And glad to be here also running the Zoom meeting here tonight. Glad that at least we had this backup here system. In the past, if we didn't have Zoom, we would just have no meeting whatsoever. We didn't have
That's right.
a place.
So we're good Zoomies. Thank you, Carol. Gert, how about you?
We're doing Kilo 6 ZGA. That's me. I'm club secretary, and I'm just kind of hanging in there until somebody tells me to go away. So
thanks, Gert. Neil, how about you?
I'm Neil KL7HQR, a member of the board, and glad to be here. And I was wondering why did we lose the key to the room?
You're talking to the person who screwed up the reservation.
Nobody screws up in this club.
I have absolutely no presidential aspirations. Therefore, I can cop a plea and said I did it.
Good for you, Phil.
Hank, you're next.
Hank, Kurt's husband. I'm K6HUH, and I don't do anything. I'm retired.
Good. Art, how about you?
KD6 GBY. I'm also retired, and although I try to do many things, I might as well just watch TV all day and eat ho-hos.
Mike, Mr. GFM, how about you?
Hi, I'm Mike, K7GFM in Gold River, and well, that's my story. I'm retired as well.
I'm retarded. Alan,
So
AGW.
Hey, hello, everybody. How is everything going? Unexpected to meet you on this screen instead of in real life, but that's okay. So Kilo,
But I already copped to the plea that I screwed
I
up the
heard you,
organization.
and I think that was very noble of you.
What happens when you get an old blonde guy? I used
So,
to be blonde anyway.
Kilo 6 Alpha Golf Whiskey, sort of a newish call sign. I've had it a month or two now, but I dropped the O and kept the AGW.
Cool.
And that's me, and I'm retired.
Good. I'm going to be talking about retired guys here in a few minutes.
All righty.
Bill, Mr. HA.
Yeah, Bill, November 6 Hotel Alpha in Roseville, and I am not retired. I work.
Well, you know, somebody's got to work so we retirees have income for the government.
We appreciate
we
you,
just
Bill.
want to party off your hard-earned tax dollars. Don't flim for you.
There you go.
All right, we got Bob, PGQ. At least he's logged in. Are you there, Bob?
Unmute.
You're mute?
He's mute. He's mute.
There, I unmuted myself manually. I'm Bob,
Cool.
N6PGQ, and even though I am retired, I noticed that the government keeps taking money out of my retirement check. I thought that they would be nice to me, but I seem to think I was wrong.
Always remember, the government is here to help. Just think about it.
Themselves.
Tom, I don't have
Anyway,
your name on the screen, but I know you're there.
I am here. I am Tom Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra in Carmichael. I'm also retired, but maybe that's a requirement for this Zoom meeting, except for one of us. And I did tape on a note on the door if people did show up and did see that. Hopefully they weren't too angry and they'll show up here soon.
We'll have them throw darts at me. Thanks, Tom. Carl, CKV. No, that's
Good
not
evening.
right.
I'm Carl, November 6 Charlie Kilo Victor in Wilton. And I just posted on the group's Facebook site a message that I got from Scott Reed, who is the Placer County EC and also with California Office of Emergency Service. And he just got deployed to the East Coast for hurricane support. He's a great WinLink advocate, and he has listed the HF WinLink frequencies that we should stay away from so that they can pass emergency traffic. So that's on the club's Facebook site.
Great. Thank you. Charles, CFS.
It's Charles, CCS, I get the opportunity to join these meetings.
Your audio is lousy.
So again,
Your audio is lousy.
sorry about that.
Sounds very distorted.
But we welcome you nonetheless. How about Glenn, RGQ?
Apparently he's driving, so he may not be easily able to talk.
Now I show 18, but I know I didn't call all 18.
Yeah.
I see Neil.
Yeah, Neil's in there. We got Neil. Is there anybody out there that I didn't recognize or?
Acknowledge.
I'm Rick, KMZY, and I'm here.
Cool. I didn't have you listed
Welcome.
here. It's my,
Maybe James? Did we get to
anyone else that's not been recognized?
Bob, WB6BYH.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, yeah, he's our official technical coordinator for our section as well as QSL card checker.
Oh, good. Good.
Bob Wortman, nice to see you.
That was Bob Wortman?
Yeah.
Bobbert, what are you doing, you old reprobate?
Just hanging. You going to Reading this
Reprobate is a
weekend?
term of endearment.
You going to Reading this weekend?
Oh my God, no.
I'm going to be there. I'm for the ARRL.
Make sure you take your sunscreen.
Yeah,
You
probably
miss
going
Reading, Bob?
Say what again?
Do you miss Reading?
Only the fishing.
I don't miss Reading in the slightest.
It's a good place to be from, right?
That's what I went to a high school class reunion a few decades back, and there were people there that had just moved back to Reading. And of each of them, I asked them why. Okay, on with things. We did the introductions. We did the introductions via Zoom. We do have a treasurer's report from Wilson.
No, we're not gonna let you get away with that. What was the answer you got?
The answer I got to which?
Yeah, why did they move back to Reading?
Because they're stupid.
Sorry, I interrupted.
That's another reason I can't run for president. I have no bedside manner. Truth hurts. Carol, do we have Wilson's trade? Oh, there it is.
Yes.
You know, there's only a couple of things on here that I think are noteworthy. The head count is a great one, 172. And by inactive, further down, does he list how many have paid or how many are past due?
No, this is all that he's got on
Okay,
here.
that's fair enough.
I think, Phil, where it says expiring soon.
Oh, 42. There you
42.
go. It's grayed out. So, you know, the thing about this Ham Club Online, that's actually better than we were doing before. As I recall things, that's about 25% who've not, well, they haven't expired yet, but they're about to. So that's pretty good. And then I like the spreadsheet. He probably doesn't have that up.
No, not for members.
Well, what's our bank balance? Around $9,000.
There it is.
Yeah, $9,540. And that's pretty much all the guys typically want to know is, you know, where our bank balance is, how much we got in, and how much we let out. So we spent $80 more than we received last month. And my theme is that our present grid is about 100 years old and will not meet our needs in the future. You and I, Art, need to sit down and talk with Wilson. He and I have talked about this at length, and it's a very, very interesting story.
Yes.
And one of the biggest problem areas, by the way, is solar. Solar causes more trouble than you can possibly imagine. Okay, that covers our financial and membership list. And Carol's got website activity.
Yes, I do. And I'll go ahead and I'll bring that up right now. And yep. Here we go. Now this is our poor elephant. It's
I like our elephant.
Yeah, put off until next month, unfortunately. So we've been postponed to November 12th with the white elephant. And just a reminder that our website is n6na.org, and we try to keep this up to date. It's so up to date. Actually, here it says here, white elephant postponed to November 12th. So there you go. And the website was updated as soon as I got the sad news.
Carol, I have to commend you. You put in a whole section on our silent keys. That was a monumental effort.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, that wasn't done in one day.
I'm sure it wasn't.
That's been done over the years. I've been keeping it up to date little by little. But,
and you just imported it to the website?
I got stories here and there from our past newsletters. And as things occurred, I updated them and put them there. We have our whole wall on the website, which is a page dedicated to our silent keys, in case anybody's interested.
That's pretty amazing. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Reminder that this Saturday, the Maker Fair at Rockland, it's going to be Saturday, October 12th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There is going to be a special event station, November 6th mic there. So far we have 8 committed exhibitors that are going to be there doing some on-the-air demonstrations, showing off some of their do-it-yourself projects. And this year's Maker Fair has over 60 exhibitors on the campus there. So it promises to be very well attended and quite enjoyable. And we have spots for 2 more exhibitors. If you want to come and join us, you could just go and talk with Jojo at the KN6HTD. He's actually going to be the liaison for us for the exhibit there in the special event station. I unfortunately won't be there because I have to be up in Reading for the Reading Hamfest, which is the exact same day. There was a conflict. So Jojo is going to be taking care of the exhibitors, handing out the badges and coordinating.
Carol, if you had any muscle, you'd send Jojo to Reading.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah, I don't mind going to Reading. I get to see Bud Drummond up there. He always shows up.
A buddy.
Yeah, he's the guy who invented Buddy Poles, W3FF. Wonderful guy.
You know, he used to be a disc jockey.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When I first met him, he lived in the apartments behind where I lived. And one day he said, I'm going to get married. So went back to Pennsylvania, drove his little VW Bug, married his bride, and moved back to Reading, and then eventually got in the insurance business. Great guy.
Well, thank you for that little background story about Bud Drummond, W3FF.
Ask him what he did with his VW. I think it was a red VW, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll be sure and ask that. By the way, if you see this picture, that's Dave Martin, recent silent key at last year's Maker Fair. And you see those canopies in the background. Last year, we had half the number of exhibitors that we have this year. So you're going to see double the number of canopies there. And going to be a lot of people. The largest attendance we've had to the Maker Fair, which was just prior to the pandemic, we had 8,000 people showed up.
Was it 8,000?
It was 8,000.
I remember there was a lot of kids. I had fun with those kids.
Families, entire families go there because there's a lot of hands-on activities, arts, crafts, things to do with science and technology, engineering. They had the trebuchets, they had 3D printing, everything. So it's a lot of fun. They have food trucks there too. So it's a great outing for the family. Everybody would enjoy it, and it's a fun time. So we bring amateur radio there, which really is something different and brings a lot of interest. That's for sure. So be sure and drop in, even if you're not going to be an exhibitor. It'd be awesome. PacificCon, also I have to put a plug for this. This is an annual event, and it's the biggest amateur radio event in this area every year. It's going to be October 18th to 20th over at the San Ramon Marriott in San Ramon, California. And there's all of these things listed here on this slide and more. I mean, there's constantly multiple forums going on. If you want to learn anything about aspects of radio, you want to talk with people that have similar interests to you, there's an entire vendor exposition there showing the latest radios. Breakfast with Gordon West, WB6NOA. Saturday night, there's a banquet with keynote speakers. There's license exams and license classes, special event station. You can operate W1AW/6, and plenty of prizes that they're awarding all weekend long. So Friday is dedicated to the antenna seminar. This
It's a great program.
It's great. And if you're bringing kids, 17 years and under, go in for free.
I should mention at this point that, you know, I've gone up to one of the Pacific Northwest, what they call it, CPAC.
Yeah.
And I went to Dayton one year, and from what I've seen, nobody has better technical sessions than Pacificon. Pretty impressive.
Yep. Going to have the brass from the ARRL over there. They're from Newington. They're coming in. We'll get a chance to see the president and the CEO and give some feedback face to face. So I'll be up there, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you there. At this time, if you do want to register, you have to do it at the door because online registration is now closed. Next, upcoming club and area events. Of course, the Maker Fair is going to be the 12th, 18th to 20th, of course, is the PacificCon convention. And if you're stuck here in town on that Saturday, the 19th, there'll still be a club breakfast over at Brookfields. So that's your consolation prize for not going to PacificCon. Let me just say, if you want to pick one day to go to PacificCon instead of all 3 days, Saturday is where you're going to have most of the events. So that's probably the day to go, the 19th. That same weekend is also the weekend of Jamboree on the Air, which is a worldwide scouting on the air event. And there are a number of clubs. I believe that Sierra Foothills Radio Club is putting on an event for some scout troops as well. And this is where scouts get on the air and talk to other scouts all around the world. Every year, there's more than 1 million scouts get involved in that. So this is a really big deal. At PacificCon, they usually have a room set up just for the scouts to do that Jamboree on the air. November 12th, of course, is going to be our elections and White Elephant Night now. 16th is the club breakfast for November, and then December 3rd is going to be our membership holiday dinner meeting. This is for members and families and guests. It's going to be at the Black Bear Diner, Madison Avenue, the corner of Sunrise. And then December 21st will be the last breakfast of the year for us. Reminder that the All Frank Memorial Award is awarded at that dinner meeting in December. And here's a list of all of the past recipients. So you know everybody who's been honored to this. This is an award that's given every year in recognition of outstanding service to the River City Amateur Radio Communications Society. So we're looking for people to submit their suggestions, and there are some people who are not on this list that I believe probably would be deserving of this kind of recognition. So if you want to apply, you can go to our website and you scroll down, and I actually have this place here where you can just click on this little link here, and it brings you into an online form where you could submit a nomination of who you think is deserving of this award. And we're going to have a little subcommittee going over doing the tallying on November 15th. And then it'll be a surprise presentation at our dinner. So we're looking forward to that.
It's a nice award.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a great tradition that was set up in honor of Lyle O'Frank, who actually was ARL Instructor of the Year. He got that award. He was one of the past presidents of the River City ARCS. And that's a very prestigious award he got from the ARRL Gordon West is one of the other winners of that award, the Herb Breyer Instructor of the Year award. Ah, yes, news. We have a new station trustee, and that is Russ. We want to thank Andy Stevens, W6AWS, who for, probably almost 20 years was our trustee, but he is no longer able to serve in that capacity. So we want to thank him for doing that for so many years. And now Russ, who is actually our primary repeater controller, is now the trustee for the club station license. So he has responsibility to make sure that N6NA is operated within FCC rules. And so he's
It's a
answerable
big
to that.
responsibility.
Very much. Next. Call for nominations. We're looking for nominations for a number of positions. And that's, of course, for our next meeting, November 12th, which is when we're going to have our club elections. These are the current slates here on the left. Phil is the current president. I'm vice president. Gert secretary. Wilson is treasurer. Phil is said he will not run again for president. Gert has offered to run again for secretary. Thank you very much, Gert. And Wilson is looking for a replacement as well for the position of treasurer. And on the board of directors, Art, who's with us here in the meeting, is dropping off this term. And James also is dropping off with this term, with this election. And
Well,
Jen,
Carol,
yes.
I'm willing to serve on the board, but if somebody's really hot for it, I will step down.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for nominating yourself again for board. That is awesome.
We love you, Art.
I know, I'm having so much fun.
That is awesome. You know, that's appreciated.
That
James?
counts as an official nomination.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a nomination. There's no question.
It's signed in blood.
And James is dropping off. He's completed his 2-year term. But I believe, can you make the announcement here that James, you did be nominated, right, for president, if I'm not mistaken.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's-
James
it's
is
a
nominated.
fine move.
It is. You know, you're very
Remember I was
presidential.
talking about, the having a bench and you need that high water mark? You will be it.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay,
That's a
and
good benchmark.
now Jen Garland, KI1TTY, she was supposed to be on this year and next year, but she has tendered her resignation for the end of this year, so we need to fill her spot also. And Neil, KL7HQR, who's with us tonight, he will remain with us on the board for next year. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe Bill and 6HA, weren't you going to also be nominated for the board?
He'd be a good one.
Yeah, James told me I've been nominated. I appreciate it, James.
And
That's all.
seconded.
Okay, so
You're
what
welcome.
we're looking for, we've got 1, 2, we need we need another board nomination. And if somebody wants to do vice president, I'm glad to let somebody have the chance to do that. That's great.
Can
And
I
then-
interject something here?
And treasurer, yes, go ahead.
The treasurer thing has my attention, and I'm very concerned about this. And let me explain why. The treasurer in our club is actually our business manager. Now, it's never been billed that way, but effectively, that's the role of the treasurer. And we've had a number of really great treasurers over the years. I go back to who was our old buddy that died?
It's true, Mike, too.
Yeah, the Paul Gross.
Paul
Yeah.
Gross.
What a great guy, amazing guy. And you guys were stuck with me for 5 years as treasurer, and then JoJo
You
jumped
did good.
in, and Wilson has jumped in as well. The role has changed. And I want to explain this because I would really like to see one of our senior members pick up this slot, and I'm going to explain why. The monthly responsibilities of the treasurer are to write about 6 checks a month and to fill in the monthly entries into a spreadsheet. And aside from that, all of your information, with few exceptions, comes from Ham Club Online. Between James and Jen and Wilson, they got those files pretty darn clean. So Ham Club Online has made the treasurer's role pretty simple. You get the report monthly, all the dues are paid there, the mailing information's done there, the roster's done there. So it's actually not much. The only thing, as I said, that has to be done is that spreadsheet. And you don't need a report beyond creating that spreadsheet. But what we're looking for there is somebody who wishes to take a kind of a leading role and would be comfortable doing that. And the reason I say the senior guys is because, frankly, most of we retired types have some time, where the younger folks who are making a living, paying taxes to support us, may not have that time. So I'm really throwing that out there. I would like to see a couple of people throw their hats in the ring for that. I think that's a very prudent, important issue that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it, but that's really been a real burden both for Wilson and when JoJo was doing it, because they both were really enmeshed in family raising, kid raising. So, and working both. So
I'm sorry, Carol, I didn't mean to get too far off the task there.
Oh, no, you're right on subject. This is good. So and again, if anybody needs to see any of the descriptions for the job descriptions, you can go on our website on the About Us webpage, and there's a link there to our bylaws, and the descriptions and details are all right there in case you have any doubts about that. So there's still a minimum of 3 places open. We need another nominee for board, possible nominee for vice president. If somebody wants to step up and try their hand at it, I'll give them my full support. And
again, think in terms of building this bench. You know, you bring some people in on the board and you're grooming them for these officer positions. It's the smart way to run a business, and we are a business.
Yeah, and anybody can attend our board Zoom meetings. And those are 4th Tuesdays at 7 p.m. We don't put the log on for the Zoom meeting on our website, but we'll send it to anybody who's interested in attending the board meetings. They're open. There's nothing secret about it.
If for the treasurer position, if a current board member were nominated for that position and got it, that would open up then another board of director position. So we should try to get more nominations for the board of directors.
Yes.
Anyway,
you know, there is nothing wrong with us having a plethora. You like that big word?
That's a good word.
Of candidates.
are we allowed to have more than 4 people as board members besides having the officers?
I'd have to look at our bylaws. I'm not certain. But again, there's nothing wrong with a whole bunch of nominations.
Yeah.
Think of it. We got 174 members.
Yeah. 18 of whom showed up.
Another thing is, the more members you have, the bigger is the quorum that is required for a board meeting. So just keep that in mind. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you much. And we'll go on. October contest. California QSO party was last weekend, but this coming weekend we have Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, South Dakota QSO parties. Following weekend, which is the weekend of Pacificon, we have the New York and Illinois QSO parties. And then October 26th to 27th is the CQ Worldwide DX single sideband contest. That's a big one. And then the following weekend, November 2nd to 4th, is the ARL Sweepstakes CW contest. And again, go to contestcalendar.com if you want more information about all kinds of contests throughout the year. Reminder about our nets. Tomorrow night, 2-meter net is at 8 p.m. And at 8:30, we have our 10-meter net. And 9 p.m. we'll have our slow scan television net, and that also goes on our YouTube live stream. Reminder about our backup repeater net. The next one is going to be on the, I believe it's October 16th or so. It's it's the third Wednesday of October. So it is the 16th. It's going to be our next test of the backup repeater. And then the roundtable net is going strong every Saturday at 3 p.m. Website activity report for the month of September. We had a total of 717 page views. During the month of September, peak web page views were on September 4th and was 66. Most visited pages are our home page, our repeater page, then our nets page, online swap page, which you should check out once in a while. Members have an opportunity to send us pictures and items to post there that they want to sell or wants that they have. And we'll keep them up there for about 6 months. So it's an opportunity for you to sell or look for stuff that you want. Magnetic loop antenna page is still pretty popular, 22 views. 52% of our hits to the website were directed through search engines like Bing and Google. Direct hits to our n6na.org were 44%, and the rest came referred through videos or social media. And then most of our views, again, came from the United States. We always get views from a few other countries around the world. And social media, we now have 530 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and that's up 3 in the past month. We had 746 views of our videos. And the most popular video was an old video of Bob N6PGQ's tower installation. That seemed to be very popular, 112 views. And Mike Oretsky's talk on rig experts is always right near the top. We had 105 views on that video. That was from a meeting back in 2018 also. Our home brew night had a lot of views, 64 views. And one of our SSTV nets also had 57 views. And then Phil's excellent talk on HF antennas was in 5th place with 48 views. And you gave an excellent talk. This was from our Are You Ready for HF series of seminars. And I'm glad that we did record that, and it's up there and people are still watching it.
And we covered the entire ARRL antenna book.
Yeah, and that's a pretty thick book. Our Facebook page now has 1,126 followers. And our discussion group on Facebook has 125 members. Twitter page has 169 followers. And our Discord chat now has 41 members. And again, if you need to contact anyone in the club among the leadership, you can just send an email to contact@n6na.org and we'll get the answers to you. We will direct it to the appropriate person. Thank you very much. And I believe that ends this presentation.
Carol, superb job as usual. You know, typically at this point, when we're done with our production, and of course, today's production was going to be the white elephant sale. We have our drawing, but we're not going to be able to do that this evening. And the one thing I was going to push hard is this issue with our need for a participant to fill that treasurer slot. And we've covered that. So we're kind of open for discussion, any topics that
I have something that'll put Alan and Bill on the spot.
Oh, I like that.
Can I share the screen? It looks like I can. All right. I'm going to let them explain this. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right. And
Those are bad looking legs.
I'm gonna try.
I've seen better looking legs on a Safeway chicken.
I'm not sure. Let me know if you can hear the audio. Whoops. Hold on. Do you hear the audio?
Yes.
Satellite. Indiana. Hoosiers. We have a way to translate. I have a handheld that maybe try to make it. I'm got to find me though on the pasta. Yeah.
All right. I'll let them tell you what they were up
But
to.
you know, this was all Bill's doing, so I'm gonna let him tell more about it, but it was a conglomeration of equipment. That was my aero antenna, and it was Aaron's radio, and Bill's idea to, for the very first time, contact RS-44, which is a linear satellite, not a FM satellite. And so we just kind of patchwork ourselves together as a group. And go ahead, Bill. It was a great experience.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I walked up to the outside event, and I saw that Alan was working the ISS, and I had brought a radio that could do sideband, and I had intended to use it to work RS-44 potentially just to hear it. And but yeah, they had a 705 there, so that was a lot better radio to use for this demonstration. So yeah, it was a little bit of everybody's equipment, and we were able to hear some stations back east, which is pretty cool. RS-44 is really high up, so the footprint for it is pretty much all of America, which is really impressive for that kind of radio. So it's a linear transponder. It does about 50 kilohertz of bandwidth, and then it flips it over and sends it back down. So yeah, a lot of fun. I enjoyed listening to it. I've never really done linear, so it's cool to play around with.
And just so everybody understands, amateur radio operators are bouncing they're sending their signal to that cube, right? Basically, and sending it back down. It on a same frequency. Is the uplink and the downlink the same? Is that how that works, or?
No, the uplink is on lower, or it's VHF, and then it comes back down on UHF. So it's a crossbander. It's a really small CubeSat, and it's thousands of miles up in the air, and it goes. The pass is about 13 minutes, so you have a good chance to work a couple stations, and because it has so much bandwidth, you're able to do a little. More people are able to chat in the same area than you normally could with like an FM satellite. It's one person at a time. So you'll see other modes too. There's digital modes, there's CW or voice. So it's pretty cool to see it in action.
Well
Bill Neal, KL7HQR. Yeah, I'm glad to see that you got involved in that. You and I talked about you coming over and trying my new setup. So I want to extend the invitation for you to come over here. Glad to see that you're getting involved on that part of it, because I learned a little bit about the FM side from you.
I need to come over and play with your setup too. I think that'd be fun. Yeah, to work some linear satellites. I want to see some of the digital mode stuff too. So that'd be neat.
And me.
We'll make a field trip to Neil's house.
Yeah, there we go.
And that is the one band that I don't have noise interference.
And that was at Jan Park in Carmichael. NR6H was out there. North Hills basically sponsored a little field day.
Off the grid exercise.
That's right. But one thing, Alan, I think you learned is that you need a little longer coax.
Yeah.
You couldn't really move the antenna around very far from the radio.
Right, right. Without putting someone's eye out, and we were all huddled in there too.
Yeah, that arrow's made for more of a handheld than a 705 or something bigger. But we made it work.
Yeah.
Speaking of satellites, the International Space Station now has a slow scan television event going on for almost a week, I believe. They just started today, sending slow scan television pictures from orbit. And oh, thank you. Did you want to talk a little bit about this, Bill, since you're sharing that picture?
Oh, I thought you'd finished first. I didn't realize. I thought I'd put it in chat. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah,
No,
this is
no,
from-
I'd love seeing it. You tell us more about your experience with this, please.
Oh yeah, this was a pass during the afternoon that I decoded. This actually isn't the finished product. I just ran this through. I played it into my speaker. So this is from the ISS satellite pass for slow scan. It comes down on VHF on a 145.800. And they send an image every 2 minutes or so. So you have a chance on a good pass to maybe get 2 images. You're lucky to get one unobstructed. And this is one I picked up. So you can see it's half of it's in Russian and the other half's in English, because the Russian side seems to be sending the slow scan, the RS0ISS. So yeah, it was fun to receive this. I hope to get more and a better quality before the event's over.
Bill, can you use a regular vertical antenna to pick that up, or do you really need a Yagi or an arrow style antenna?
I think Alan has a very good anecdote about that.
Well, I tried my vertical this morning, basically using my base station here in a Diamond X50. And I could, receive it, but it just wasn't a strong enough signal, and the image that was coming through was a failure. Nothing like what Bill has produced here. So really, directional antenna is best. I was also going to try my little dipole, which I think is omnidirectional and would work better than because it's horizontally oriented, would work better than my vertical. So I'm still trying to get it together here.
Yeah, I'd like to make a little qualification about that. If you have a high gain omnidirectional antenna like that Diamond, what it does is it flattens the radiation pattern into a flat pancake that just pretty much hugs the Earth. So as the ISS goes above you at any elevation, the signal gets weaker because it's like a null up above you. But if you have a very simple vertical antenna like I have with just a J-pole, it does absolutely great. I've got beautiful pictures just using my J-pole from the ISS. And you can even receive it on a handheld very often. Although I wouldn't recommend trying to use a rubber duck antenna. You can very often hear it on the rubber duck. But it's better to have an antenna that's up in the clear and a full-size antenna. You really do not need a beam. The signal from the ISS is really strong. I don't know what they're running like. I don't know if they're running actually 50 watts, but they're using a lot more power than the typical satellites. So it's not hard at all. And I would just recommend anybody, you have a base station that you could tune to that frequency, 145, 800, just leave it set on there. And you'll sometime during the day when that ISS is passing over you, you'll hear that signal coming in. And when it comes in here with my J-pole, it pegs the meter. It's absolutely full quieting. It's so strong. So that's the way to go. No harm done in listening for it.
Is that a horizontal J-pole you said?
No, this is a vertical J-pole.
Okay.
The thing is, a J-pole has basically no gain compared to your Diamond antenna. So it doesn't have the very flat radiation pattern. It has a significant amount of high elevation sensitivity. So it'll pick up the satellites when they're pretty high up compared to a very much more expensive Diamond antenna.
Bob, I saw your note about the board term PGQ. So yeah, that's thoughtful of you. Appreciate it.
In the past, we've taken those images that we received and posted upon Discord, so you can do some comparison of what we're all in the same area and see what actually works best.
Yeah, there was a question sent to me from Jim KF6JF. Was there an explanation why the meeting was changed at the last minute? And he wound up driving from Roseville through rush hour traffic and then had to drive back. We're really sorry about that.
Jim, I screwed that up. Blame me. My apologies.
Okay, so thank you. You know, I'm glad we have a very responsible president who knows where the buck stops, and you have all our support. Believe me, this is something really fine to see, that kind of integrity in our president, and I'm glad to say we could have one, a very integral president.
Way to go, Phil.
Yes.
You're much
Call me
appreciated.
Mr. Doofus.
Yeah, we do apologize. And yeah, as Jim says, this was the second time that we had a mess up on that. And, that's only 2 strikes. We're not going to have 3 strikes, are we now?
Well, he's going to bow out before then. For whatever the case may be, we have, starting January 1st, we get to start over again with reserving rooms at the Carmichael.
Actually, after we have our meeting on the 12th of November, I plan to reserve as many of them as I can, have it in the can so we don't have to sweat it.
Well,
Going back to the first Tuesday, yes?
We'll see what we can get. That would be the
Whatever we
ideal
can
arrangement.
get. Okay, but it's okay, but you're still going to exercise that even though you're rolling off on the presidential role.
Yes.
Okay. Much appreciated, Phil. Much appreciated.
I'd like to bring another thing up that has to do with the DIY Radio Builders Group. At the last breakfast, I brought my little Tuna Tin S transmitter. This was a project that we did back in 2021. It was from a QST article in December 2020. This is low power transmitter that uses an Arduino Nano and an SI5351 with a little display board there. And it's a 1 transistor final, which is a MOSFET. And this is on 40 meters. This was an awesome project. Phil, KD6RM designed this PC board for us. And I found these boxes over at Tap Plastic, and it fits perfectly. And then you can have your antenna connectors here on the end. It'll run off the battery for a little while. And there I even labeled it Tuna Tin S. There may be some interest in another group trying to put these together, and we're actually improving this circuit so that instead of just half a watt, it'll actually put up to about 5 watts out. And there may be some, if there's enough interest, we could possibly do another run of these. The original price of the kit at the time was $25. Again, that was before the big inflation we had during the pandemic. So we may have to recheck what the price is going to be, but there was a lot of fun on our group putting these together. And if there's any more interest, we could certainly do this again, perhaps with the improvements. And you have a 5-watt transmitter that you put together with your own hands with some of the latest technology. It's actually a digital readout and control, microprocessor control there.
And it's all through hole circuitry, so no circuits.
So it's really, it was a lot of fun soldering this thing. And if anybody needs any help learning how to solder, we certainly will help them out with it and troubleshoot if they have any problems with their kit.
Yeah, for whatever it's worth, I've got several solder stations, the temp controlled ones that are much easier to work with. So if at some point we want to have a soldering seminar, I'm up for it.
Okay. Any other topics we wish to bring up?
Yes,
Hank?
I have all the winning tickets.
No, you don't. I've got them.
That's tonight's raffle prize.
I think he thinks he's a winner.
And
That's
not
a
only
bad way to
that,
feel.
Hank, Gert hasn't got any money from you.
Yeah,
So you can't
I
win
need
nothing.
my five,
Oh, my
honey.
money.
I need my five.
She gets all my money.
I know how that works.
Yeah. Only if I'm the CFO. He calls me the chief financial officer.
Yes. So
So
again, anything else? Any other topic?
Well, just out of curiosity, for November 12th, that'll be the White Elephant
Yes.
event at the
And the
Carmichael Library.
nomination and voting.
And nominations for, and voting. So the nominations
Right.
need to come in.
We don't have a meeting after November.
Okay.
yeah.
We should promote, I'm not sure who net control is tomorrow night. We should promote nominations on the nets tomorrow night.
Well, check in and do your thing.
Look, I will. I'll back up Carol.
Did
You know,
see
she never seems to miss a beat.
No. We
We're
have a
very
great team.
fortunate to have Carol.
Yeah.
I think she's had practice, just a little.
I'm pretty much convinced of it.
Did you see how ready Hank was for a white elephant sale?
Yeah, he was all set.
Hold it up again, hon.
Did you make that with your 3D printer?
Yeah. Pretty cool.
We also have, for those of us who enjoy a little wine or beer, he also has some pink ones.
That's perfect.
Too funny.
Yeah.
Well, unless we've got something else, I think we can adjourn this meeting. Last chance.
Yeah, the only thing I think I would suggest that Hank bring some of those white pink elephants and deduct, promote it to the club so some of us can buy them.
We had that in mind, Neil. We were ready.
I was wondering
Carol,
if anybody worked the white.
Carol, did you happen to
anybody
know
worked the
that
white elephant
Bob
sale?
Woodward volunteered to fill in the last year of?
Yeah,
okay.
I do have that. So he's so that's easy. We don't actually have to have an election on that. That's just filling, and that could be. You certainly can appoint that to fill that
An
vacancy.
appointment.
Oh,
Yeah, the board can do that for vacancies.
late.
Did anybody work the California QSO party?
I got about 12 contacts or so, which I need to upload. I was random about it. How did you do, Bob?
I ran into
I did.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
I did fairly well. The band conditions were great. Let's see. I made 845 contacts on phone.
Okay.
Wow.
Woo!
So, Bill, how did you do?
I actually
I
ran
did
into
well.
some familiar. I ran into some familiar faces when I was doing the QSO party. I heard Bob on 15 meters. Had to work him, so I'm glad to be one of the 800. Bob.
Yeah. Let's see. You want to run down? I got 10 on 80, 116 on 40, 439 on 20, 140 on 15, and 140 on 10.
Wow.
Wow.
So
You had a busy
man.
weekend.
Was that low
Bands
power
were
or high power?
Well, I started out high power, and after about 6 hours, I switched to 100 watts.
No.
Yeah. Just by way of mentioning, hello, Ken Martin.
Howdy.
Yeah, you
Snuck
were.
in.
Yeah. And hello to you too. We said hello to everybody, so you're on the list now.
Yeah, I fell asleep before the meeting and woke up after it started.
Yeah, we had did our head count get higher than 20?
I think we got to let me count. 1, 2, 3.
I saw 20 up there at one point.
I saw 21.
I think
21.
Bill, you have 2
20.
connections and 6HA.
I've got 20, so did I miss
one
somebody?
Yeah.
Well, you can find it on the recording when you play it back.
Oh.
We did hit 21.
You can count Bill double.
I do have a short story for you guys before we quit.
Okay.
This when was this? This was last week. Thursday. Yeah, Thursday at the Samuel F. Morris meeting. I did show everybody my efforts at building a ARC-5 transceiver and admitted that it was about the dumbest project I've ever attempted and showed everybody how ugly it was. And I got no horse laughs, which really surprised me.
Can you explain what an ARC-5 is to those who are newcomers?
The newbie guys?
Yeah.
That was your vintage thing, wasn't it?
Yes. ARC-5 stood for Aircraft Radio, Aircraft Radio Corporation. And these were the communication devices that were in the B-17s and 29s and 25s. And they consisted of separate transmitters and receivers. And there were thousands of these things built. And after the war, these things were everywhere. A lot of the hams picked up on the transmitters and used them as their novice rigs.
World War II.
You never heard much about the receiver. Did you do that, Carol?
Yeah, World War II.
Oh, yeah, it's World War
Vintage.
II. So these things are 80 years old. Well, I happened to have one of the receivers up in the attic, and I thought, God, what could I do with this thing? And it occurred to me, if I were to do a little hokey pokey, I could use the receiver, steal the VFO frequency, make some mods to get it back into the ham bands, and make a transceiver out of it. Kind of a nostalgia thing, like back in my novice days. So lo and behold, I built a power supply for it. I had to change all the capacitors. There's over 30 of them in that silly thing. Changed all those, and I built up the circuitry to make it a transceiver. And when I turned the receiver on to listen to what was going on, the receiver performs so poorly that I just quit. You know, you can buy a direct conversion receiver for like $9 that has 1/10 of a microvolt sensitivity. And this fancy 6-tube radio had a 4 microvolt sensitivity. So less than the cheapy direct conversion is 40 times as sensitive as that receiver. So I never should have messed with it. It's the moral of the story.
Well, I take a little bit of a different approach, Phil. First of all, I don't think it was a bad or stupid. I think it was an incredible amount of work and ingenuity engineering in your part. And second, I think that it told us what can be done. You know, it's quite an impressive achievement.
Yes.
Well, it did work. And I guess that's the bottom line. But I won't be doing it again.
Yeah. Once was enough.
Well, I should you start working on the receiver end of it.
No. There's a lot of better ways.
Phil?
Yeah, go buy
Yes.
that $9.
What you got, Ken?
The C in that ARC would be communications. That 3 letters is a code describing what the equipment is. In your case, it's aircraft radio communications. The radar I worked on was TPS, Transportable Radar Search. So they have a whole series of codes for what the equipment is, and then the number is the progression in, which type, specific
But Ken, you just destroyed my lie.
type.
It was creative.
Well,
It sounded good anyway.
Yeah.
But, there is a code for the military equipment.
I remember several of them, but they're not repeatable.
This is true.
Yeah. One more thing, Phil, why don't you fill us in about why the receiver was so insensitive or lack of
Well,
sensitivity because
you
of
know,
where they
you
were
have to
used?
think about the use. These aircraft were making these bombing runs, and I think most of these were done up around 10,000 feet. So here you have the sky filled with these bombers, and it was not unusual for them to have hundreds of bombers on one of these missions. And so you've got these transmitters had a pair of what were 1625 triodes, I think they were, which is a 12-volt version of the 807. So you're probably looking at 100, 150 watts output power. Remember, the sky is full, and these guys are, you know, a few hundred feet apart, maybe. Well, if you got a receiver that's too sensitive, it's nothing but overload. So I think they deliberately designed these receivers to pick up just a little bit. And because otherwise there's no explanation.
Phil,
The receivers had an RF amplifier in them, 2 stages of IF amplification, 1 audio stage. There was a BFO stage and a converter stage. So there was plenty of gain in those receivers. They just chose not to use it.
those were pretty much used for aircraft to aircraft communications, weren't they?
Yes. And air to ground too. That worked fine as well.
But you're right. Overwhelming when you're that close together. It's like, you know, you don't want to have 3 radios on the same frequency and the
Oh,
same
yeah.
jack.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna work out right very well. Or
And
even
pretty much convinced that was the story, because otherwise it makes no sense.
yeah.
Well, Phil, weren't those radios controlled by Crystal?
No,
Yeah, even in World War
they were
II?
VFO.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, they had to be able to change them so that on different missions they could tune them to whatever was needed for that particular
The
mission.
military had a number of crystal controlled radios, but these were actually VFOs. There was a VFO in the transmitter and a VFO in the receiver. Not only that, they had a separate modulator. So while they primarily were a CW rig, you could also modulate them as an AM transmitter.
Yeah,
There's a whole bunch of stuff that they had hanging off of those things.
it was MCW. My RBM5 military surplus receivers had a switch on the front for MCW.
Modulated CW, yeah. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, you had some fun and the results were different than you expected, but that's what an adventure is.
I made it work
Fun.
though. That was the test.
You had an adventure.
Okay. We're at the point where it's final. Last comments, topics, issues?
Okay. Where's Neil?
I'm right here. Go ahead.
You wanted a summary of the board meeting. How about if I just send you a MP3 of it?
That would be perfect. Perfect. You can send me to neo.jimenez@gmail.com. It's on QRZ, no problem at all.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So your name at
gmail.com.
Gmail. Your name at gmail.com.
Correct.
That's all I need. Okay,
Yes,
I will send it to you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Okay.
All right, folks, have a great evening. I'm going to leave you now.
Okay, and we will leave all of you and say good night. It's been good to see you.
Thank you once again, and please excuse my misgivings today.
Yeah.
Take care. Goodbye, all.
Okay. Good night.
Remember Nets tomorrow. Check on to the Nets. We'll be hearing you on the air.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Those of us that can will.
Okay.
See you around.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.